Okay, this screencast number 5 is about the floating toolbar. So you may have noticed when we were looking at the lines before that when I click once and then move the mouse, before I click again, I've got this blue floating toolbar. So what that allows me to do is to put information into that toolbar rather than me clicking. So if I wanted to make a 500mm long line, there's no point in me doing trying to zoom around trying to find 500. So without clicking anything else, I don't need to do anything. I don't need to tab. I don't need to do anything at all. I just simply type 500 in to the box, or just type 500 on my keypad using the numbers along the top above the QWERTY, rather than if you have a keypad with a number pad on the right hand side. Don't use that for reasons that will become obvious later on. Type using the numbers along the top. So if I type 500 in there and then hit enter, you'll see that I've then said to Vectorworks I want to draw a 500mm long line, but I haven't yet specified what angle. So you can see the angle there moving as I move around. Note as well where 0 is. So 0 is kind of horizontal, or horizontal along the x-axis, and as it continues to count up through to 90, 12 o'clock, right round to 9 o'clock there at 180, and then we move into, that's positive. See, it goes up to positive 180 and then flips to negative. Oops, didn't mean to do that. And then flips to negative round here. So we've got minus numbers coming down from 0 to 180 and positive in this direction here round to 180. So what you can do is type in, say, 500, use tab, which is the key to the left of Q, and then type in 66. Return, and that's shown me where that is, and return once again. So I've then done a 500 long line at 66 degrees. If I look across into the object info palette, you can see here, and we've got you may be in this selection here. There's two ways of reading the information in the object info palette. The one that's probably on by default, which I didn't have on because I've been using this. So just to go over this, the delta x is the number of x units from the start point. So it went 203 from the start point, and for the second point here is 457 from the y point. So that's delta x and delta y. The actual x and y are the coordinates of that point. So for some reason I've ended up quite far off my 0, so that x point there is minus 2,447 in x and positive in the y. Just like the rectangle, when we looked at it, these are clickable. So if I want to put the center of that back on 0, 0, there. And so I'm glad I've done this, because this is something that happens. I look like I've lost my work, so I've just kind of sent my line back to 0, 0. The center of my line back to 0, 0. Now, if this happens, there's a couple of really good little buttons up here: fit to page area and fit to objects. So if I click fit to objects, it will bring my object right back into the center of the screen. There, 0, 0. You can see 0 on the x-axis there, and 0 on the y-axis there, and it's scaled the line to fit my screen. A little big, I think, but so these are great if you lose your objects. You can click those and bring them back in again. So we were just looking at there the first of these two information boxes. The second one, which is the reason I had it on, is probably more interesting or useful for what we do, which shows the length and the angle and the x and y of the particular point that's selected. So the center is x and y is 0, 0. I can see where the bottom part is minus x, it's going in this direction, and minus y down here. So that's that point there. The end point is minus 102 and minus 228, but the length is 500. I can extend that out, as you might imagine. So let's make it 750. And because this point here is pinned, the line will extend out from that point there. I'll just do Command Z and bring it back again. If I pin the center point and make that 750, the line will extend out both ends, and the center is still at X and Y. So go back to your rectangle again, rectangle tool again, corner to corner mode, and use the floating tool palette here to type in, say, 200, tab 200, and we can draw. There's the circle, we'll type in 300 diameter, and there we go. One extra thing just before I leave you to play around with this is if you, let's say 400 tab, and I'll do, if I tab too much, which I've actually just done there, we get an extended tab box there. The extended tab box gives you lots of other options, delta X, delta Y, and the X and Y finishing point of this line. I wouldn't worry too much about the extra things beyond the length and the angle. Length and the angle is really what we need most of the time. So have a play around with the floating toolbar and draw some shapes, some squares, rectangles, circles, lines, double lines using the floating toolbar, because that's one of the main ways that we draw objects. Okay, see you in a bit.